always give my vote.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino.
Say his name and he appears.
Say the landscapers' names and they appear. Hope you enjoyed the background noise as much as I am. How's it going on a Thursday? Kings, Warriors. How's everybody feeling about this one? Look, let's be blunt. Let's bring it in. The Warriors have not lost with Jimmy Butler on their team. Doesn't mean that the Kings can't knock them off for the first time. But what I am thinking a little bit more about is the next night in Phoenix. That game seems a little more important than this one. I think the Kings, Golden State going different directions. You could make an argument either way. We do have some breaking news right off the top. Jason Anderson of the Sacramento Bee saying that Trey Lyles is now on the injury report. He is questionable with left leg soreness. Uh-oh. What about that LaRavia kid? He is off the injury report. So that is good news for Jake LaRavia. He is available. Malik Monk available. Your game time decision remains Domantas Sabonis. And it was interesting after practice to hear some of the different guys saying he looks good, he looks good. And we got to see how he's going to feel today or tomorrow, which is today. And I think they're going to take the cautious approach with Domas. I say you sit him out tonight. Bring him back against Phoenix. Tell me if I'm wrong. Get up in here. Let's have a fun show. We've got a lot to talk about. There were a ton over the last 24, 48 hours of buzzer beaters. One that includes the Stockton Kings. It actually made SportsCenter top 10. Love seeing that. So we've got it all for you today, including tonight's shows, pregame, halftime, post-game, learning how to talk. And I'm going to give you an update on what's been going on in my world as well. Some of you have been taking guesses. I've given you some crumbs here and there. I'm going to let you in on what's up. So let's make it a fun one. Feel free to call at any time. Use the QR code. You can text the show. You can also chat the show. We get it started on the other side. Welcome in to the Kings Court.
Lights on the screen, hey, it's Grant and Ryan. We bleed purple, talking hoops, never lying. Sacramento Kings, we rise and we fall. If you don't like that, then you don't know ball. Jerry sitting with the stories of the game, spilling all the truth, driving legends insane. From the Cow Palace days to Arco's roar, this town's heart beats on the hardwood floor. If you don't like that, turn
Sit his ass down. Right now, Chuck. Sit him down.
This could be, theoretically, this could be the last time the Kings are on TNT because they flex games occasionally. They're set to have one more TNT game, which is against Oklahoma City on the homestand. But if it is the last time on TNT, man, what a run. What a run. I sure as hell hope it is not. So welcome in. Hope everybody is doing very well. Ben, what's up, dude? My computer's a little bit further away from me. Another loss is imminent based on what I've seen. But that's the thing, man. What have you seen? Did you watch the Denver game? Did you watch the New York game? Did you watch the Clippers game? Because two of those three games, they looked really good. Got a bad whistle in Denver. Now, the Knicks game, we can pick the Knicks game apart, and we don't even need to talk about the play on the court. Doug Christie should not have had Zach LaVine in the game as late as he did in that one, and it matters when you get to this point in the schedule. Just ask Patrick in Long Island, who actually called the Miles McBride thing, and he was right. But they're having discussions with Coach Tibbs behind the scenes about minutes being played. And Zach LaVine is not exactly one of those iron men of the NBA. So little things like that. And how does Doug Christie handle that tonight? How do you think he handles that if this game gets out of hand? You can't put 40 minutes on these guys if this game gets out of hand. Let's see what's up. J Money 209. What's up, my brother? 209. We're going to talk about the 209 here in a little bit. Love it. Yes, I am back to where I like to be. Yes, I am all set back up again, just set back up in a different area. I'll give you an update here in a little bit. Real good. Acknowledge me, David. I don't got the sound anymore, man. We redid the soundboard. I'm not going to go looking for the acknowledge me. I might get you a yeet here once I get somewhere near it. But here's the 4 right now that have made the cut on the soundboard. Cut 1. Right? Light the beam. Second one you've heard. Third one.
That's terrible.
Gotta get a little Chuck in there. Yeah, that could apply to me for taking acknowledge me off. And then here's the 4th one. I know she's going to be really excited.
Holy moly, Zimbabwe.
So those are the 4 that are in front of me. The rest live in the computer, but I'll try to get around to that. Are you in big? Okay. Do we just want to get to this right off the top? Okay. If you are here for Kings basketball, we are going to get to Kings basketball. Let's just hit this off the top. Yes, if you have been watching the show over the past couple of weeks, you have noticed that I have been moving around. I've been in a couple of different hotel rooms. You've noticed I have not been in my home studio. Now, nonetheless, I've not stopped doing what I'm doing. I could have easily put a green screen behind me and none of you would have any idea where I was at, because to me, transparency is important. It doesn't matter to me. The content is what matters. So yeah, 2 things can be true at once. Look, we have lives outside of this. We do, whether you want to believe it or not. And very important lives. Now, I'm not going to say exactly what is going on, but we do have something within the family going on. Now, that being said, I also have had an opportunity arise professionally that I have been working on concurrently. So both of those things have been going on, which means I have not been into the house. I have not been into the studio. I have been out. Back now. Studio's good. We're here to go for the season. But, prayers would be appreciated, but everybody's fine. Everything's good. We're through it for right now, I think. So thank you. We can kill down. It was getting a little out of hand, by the way. When I started getting memes of still pictures, they were still pictures that I took in Wisconsin where people had my lips moving to Hotel California in front of the Lorelei Inn in Wisconsin. I'm just like, all right, this is going to have to get addressed. So Ishmael, what's up, man? We going to struggle on offense, having Sabonis back if he plays. Doug has been getting very, very touchy. I think touchy is a fair word when he's being asked about the offense. In fact, let's listen to the sound from after last game. Matt George kind of was picking around, and we've said, I've been saying it for a while, Jerry Reynolds as well, structure. And Doug Christie continues to push back. Now, here's the other thing that we have seen, okay? The other thing we've seen is this team play dramatically differently and actually play well, rally around each other when they lose a player or lose a couple of players. But then when those players come back and they're reintegrated in, the style of play changes and it looks funky. It looks slow. In fact, if you go and look at the Kings' pace since the All-Star break, they are near the bottom of the league. Remember, Monty McNair wanted this team in the top 5 in pace. And right now they're about middle of the league. But since the All-Star break, bottom of the league. What do you expect? You got 2 ISO players. But anyways, back to your point about the offense. Here's some stuff that Doug said after the game.
And like, how do you fix that for Thursday's game?
I mean, more frustration than, being worried about it. I know these guys, they're going to come play. The reality is you got to back-to-back all those things. Those aren't excuses. It's a reality. But for us, that doesn't mean anything. We're going to have to put guys on the floor that are going to play with a high level of energy, match and exceed the physicality, period. That's just how it's going to be. But as far as worry, no, I'm not worried. Frustrated as hell, but not worried. Yeah.
Doug, where'd you see? Obviously, them, season high 22 threes from the. What'd you see from you guys from the perimeter trying to defend them?
Many times when you match up in our league, especially in the analytics era, guys are like, okay, we're going to live with that, and Josh knocking down threes, and he hasn't been knocking them down at a high clip. When guys do that, it puts a battery in the back of other people, and then all of a sudden everyone's making threes. Disappointed with some of the inability to make them move because they go down like 12 or 14% when they put the ball on the deck. And these are all things that we talked about, but executing game plan is different. You got to get out there and you got to execute it. A lot of times they were just driving head down to the basket and saying, do something about it. And that's what we want to do, is put the ball down, kick it out, and let our guys shoot threes. And we did not do that tonight. Yeah.
Doug, I wonder what you thought about Malik being back, and then just the rhythm of the team. It's only 3 games without him, and he's so ingrained, but not everybody is. And so when you've got, the new pieces you're dealing with, and then even with just a 3-game absence, can that disrupt things a little bit, bringing him back
in? It's part of what happens. I mean, then we're going to have Domas coming back. Like, since I've sat in this seat, the airplane's in the air, but we're fixing it while it's in the air. And you just have to understand that's why, up there, I told them 0 excuses, man. I don't want to hear excuses. This is reality. This is our league. This is what happens. You have to find your rhythm. That's why a lot of times you play for your teammate until you find your rhythm. You don't have to push to find your rhythm, especially when you got the type of offensive firepower that we have. 1 dribble, 2 dribbles, draw, kick, relocate, and help each other get wide open looks. We didn't do that. This is one of the best ISO defensive teams in the league. And if you dribble, and the refs are, they're a physical bunch, a handsy bunch, very similar to what I would like to see for our team as far as a physicality, in your face style. And you have to find your rhythm by helping your teammates, setting good screens, rolling out of them, slipping out of them, putting it on the deck, drive, kick, swing, relocate, make the defense work, as opposed to getting on one side and allowing them to be physical and stall you out.
Coach Malik kind of talked about sacrificing.
We're going to get to Matt's part of the question here in a minute, but I'm so glad that got put in the chat. Yes, that is the world's longest cry that we are mixing in to break up Doug Christie a little bit. Are the Kings overestimating this quote unquote offensive firepower? Where's everybody stand with that? It can come in bunches when Zach LaVine is on, but I don't know that I classify DeMar DeRozan's game as offensive firepower. I think I classify it more as offensive stability. Kind of that pull that if you're walking a high wire that you use for balance. I don't think firepower is the right word for this team. I think this team, looking back at the Clippers game, if the Kings are going to have success in the play-in, if the Kings are going to have success making it to a first-round matchup, I think it's got to be more of a game like we saw in LA against the Clippers, where the Kings control the pace for the most part. But what's hard for me to look at with the pace is all year, and I know that Doug Christie is not Mike Brown. He's made that very clear. But pace was kind of what this team was built around. Doug's talked about the team taking 53s, which is not realistic when the team is not putting up. How many shots did they put up against New York? It was like 96, I want to say. So you're looking at half threes. I don't think so. You're not getting up and down like you want to. But if the pace is low, that means the Kings are not usually turning defense into offense. That means that the Kings are stagnant. And let them take it where they want to take it. And I think where that starts is the other team feeling the Kings first. I know it sounds so simple, but for whatever reason, it's hard for this team sometimes. But when they do it well. I've come to the realization that I don't think this is a basketball team that can play from behind. I don't think that if they get down 15, 20, 30, that they're coming back. Yeah, maybe 1 in every 10 games. I just don't see it because it's so easy to stop. If Zach LaVine gets hot, you double Zach LaVine, and then you have Keon Ellis, Keegan Murray, other guys that haven't touched the ball in forever, completely out of sync. You can throw the Kings off like that. They got within 10 points of the Knicks, and then they made 3 stupid turnovers in a row. 2 were 24-second violations, and then the Knicks hit 3 triples in a row. Before you know it, the game's gone away. So the Kings got to play from ahead, or at least be right there. And to me, that means getting Keon Ellis into the mix a little bit earlier. And Keon on Steph tonight is going to be so important. That's why I said on the title of the show, let the cameras just stay on Keon and Steph Curry. If you want to watch a hell of a basketball battle and a clinic offensively and defensively, keep your eyes on those two. Keon is one of the few guys in the NBA that I remember in the last couple years that has gotten beat consistently by Steph and still had the ability to recover. So I think that is going to be a major key. What Doug does with Jake LaRavia, I mean, what are we looking at with this rotation now? It's starting to feel more and more like Trey Lyles is going to be the odd man out, assuming Sabonis is back. Devin Carter looks like he's stepping into the Markelle Fultz minutes. I like how Carter's played. I think the game has slowed down for him a little bit. Does he still make some mistakes here and there? Yes, he's a rookie. He hasn't had an entire offseason, summer camp to prepare. It's going to happen, but I can't just classify those kind of mistakes on Devin Carter because those kind of mistakes are happening across the board with this basketball team. We can talk about Zach LaVine's telegraphed turnovers that you could read from 2 passes ahead. And you can see because Zach's locked onto it. We can talk about guys picking up the basketball in the different areas of the court where they shouldn't, which pushes the offense out. It's all that stuff combined. And what it ultimately comes down to is you're playing point guard by committee. So can Devin Carter get this team into a set? Malik Monk, can he clean up the pick and roll game? The pick and roll game is still there for this team. But if you notice, Malik is doing a lot more instead of going right off of the pick. He's doing what we call the snake. So he comes off the pick and then he's snaking around like that, and he's losing the advantage he has. So those little things are very easy to clean up, which leaves me for optimism, or leaves me a little bit of hope that this team can still compete with high-level teams. I think we just have to come to the realization this team's going to have to play perfectly to compete with some of these high-level teams. Let's see if I can get that Matt George part sounded up, because Doug got pretty feisty.
Not just Malik. I mean, it's everybody, you know.
Is that something that
they tonight?
DC, you just touched on this a little bit. You have 2 really gifted isolation scorers in DeRozan and LaVine. You've also talked about wanting to have a kind of a free-flowing offense, not drop plays or anything like that.
No, we draw plays.
Well, okay,
We'll state it right.
What is the balance with letting them rock and letting them do their thing in isolation and wanting them to move the basketball out of those spots? Where's that balance?
Well, the balance is breaking the shot clock down into 3 sections. The first section is transition and flow. So that's 8 seconds. The second is getting ourselves into sets if that first flow isn't there. And then the last 8 seconds is when you get to your business, because that's what they do. That's what they get paid to do. But to get there, you got to trust your teammates, get out and run. What's there? What's there? Nothing's there. Boom, set it out. Okay, elbow. Okay, boom, he pops. Nothing's there. Now we're down to butter clock. That's where they're special at. But if you don't allow yourself to get there, now you find yourself in a world of trouble versus a really good defensive team. And what I'm saying, you have to spend energy to do that. That ain't easy. There's trust involved in that. There's a lot of different things that involve.
All right, it takes a lot if I'm cutting the sound clip early when it's one that I wanted you to hear, because there's a message I got to get to. Athena, what is the word? Okay, there's something in my basketball analysis that she does not like. Does it start with a P, Athena? Let me know, Athena. Athena left the channel the other day because I said the word, and I'm like, I didn't say anything bad. What did I say? All right, Doug Christie continues. See how Doug got a little testy there?
Oh, it sounds easy, but from somebody who did it my whole life, that ain't easy, man, because these guys are physical. They're letting them touch you. All of a sudden you get in your feelings because I don't want to be touched, and I'm about to show you I got game. We can't get personal like that. Let it do what it do. Get out and run. If it's there, great. If it's not, set up something. It could be simple. It could just be a drag. As soon as the drag starts, kick the ball ahead, still nothing. Call somebody into a go screen in the last 8 seconds, and we got 2 of the best ISO players in the league. Bang.
All right, so I will give Doug this. He has simplified things to a degree. That's not simplified. That is high-level communication offensively. That means, hey, we're splitting the shot clock into 3 segments, which makes sense. Completely get that. But, oh, well, you could maybe do this, or you could do that, you could do this, and not knowing what the cross matches are going to be, not knowing where you're at in the game. Have you had 4 or 5 possessions without a basket? I think that's a little too much to ask of a group that's learning now how to play together. So, Lamb, what's up today?
Hey,
What's
Rhino.
up, dude?
Hey, I know a P that we don't like. Parental controls. We're grown-ups in the King's royalty.
How old are you, Lamb?
I'm turning 29 in June.
Okay. All right. Well, I like parental controls because my 10-year-old has a cell phone, and I need to make sure that he's not doing anything crazy.
Yeah, no, for sure. And also train him to be a young Rhino soldier.
Yeah, he's a Pikachu soldier. That's why Pikachu is behind me. But we'll see. It may change.
Hey, Mr. Rhino, you can always have a change if you have a change of mind to Raichu Rhino.
Lamb, dude, you're the best. Any predictions for tonight?
Yo, you know what? Not really a prediction. I really just had on my mind. I've been to an Warriors home game playoffs versus this was in 2000 and so back at the not the Chase. This was the former arena. I do not remember the name. Oracle Arena, man. Oh my gosh. And I've seen a concert there as well.
Nice.
And that stadium I was in the nose because that's all I can afford. So I was at but they were feeling like they were courtside, because they were loud. Like they didn't have cowbells, although their lungs. So I knew the Warriors fans were so thrilling to be around. And so tonight, whichever the outcome, the atmosphere will always feel like playoff when it's blue and yellow versus the royal purple.
Amen. Indeed, my friend. Thanks for calling the show. Appreciate you. Lamb is like always trying to come up with these clever things to say. Not bad. Not bad. I was having a little bit of trouble too, Kings fan. I'm like trying to get I'm like trying to get there. I see it. He did it yesterday when we had Jerry on for the Kings Roundtable, and I had to go back and listen to it, but it was pretty good. I saw what he was doing. So hey, good for him. Build your own brand around here on the Kings Court. If you'd like to call the show, we'd love to hear from you. All you got to do is click the link in the chat, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. Domantas Sabonis, game time decision. Jake LaRavia available for the Kings, and Trey Lyles is now listed as questionable. Jonathan Kuminga for the Warriors expected to come back tonight it's game 65. My, oh my, does it go quick, but game 65, here's what the West looks like right now. The Kings firmly in the play-in. I have come to the realization that this team is probably going to end up, I think, 9, maybe 8, depending on what goes on in front of you. Minnesota last night went into Denver and annihilated them. So Minnesota is playing very good basketball. In fact, they have the easiest schedule coming home in the Western Conference. Golden State, so you see 9-1. They've not lost since Jimmy Butler was acquired, right? Game 65. Incredible. You know what also is incredible? The Cleveland Cavaliers. They're in rarefied air. 55 winning, 55 of your first 65 games. There's only a handful of teams that have ever done that. And OKC going into Boston. I put a poll out last night. Are these two teams really going to be on a collision course? Is it going to happen? I just can't get past the Lakers. I'm having a really hard time. I can see them causing a lot of trouble in the postseason. They're built well to do that, especially if they get some contributions from their bigs. Luka stays healthy. LeBron can get healthy. How much does experience really matter when you get down to it? Oklahoma City got bounced last year. Does it matter? Does a year of experience change anything? You could say yes, because it did for the Kings from 2001 to 2002. But anyways, getting back to the West, I think the Kings are going to be just fine. But when I look at tonight and tomorrow is the game that to me matters more. And it's for this reason. Right now, the Kings have a 5-game lead in the loss column. 5-game lead over Phoenix. You play them 2 more times. You play them tomorrow night, then you play them one of the last 3 games to end the season. Make that game to end the season, one of the last ones, make that a meaningless game for the Suns. Make them have no reason to play. Do not give them any reason to believe. So I'm looking at that. But I think we really are starting to see this thing firm up. We're starting to see what it's going to look like. OKC is going to be that 1 seed. So if the Kings are able to win 2 games, assuming they're the 9 or the 10, I don't mind the matchup, actually. I don't. Memphis, they're struggling without Jaren Jackson, 5-5. So it's how it's looking right now. I mean, the West has been scary, but it's cooling off to a degree. I think what's really interesting now is what happens with that 10 seed. What happens with the 10? Who is going to back into the playoffs? Should be really interesting. So saw that, I think it was Marks go into the game. Good job. That's awesome. To Lamb's point, things changed a lot for the Warriors fan base when they moved out of Oracle. When the Warriors moved out of Oracle, they kind of priced some fans out of the market, which is tough. I mean, PSLs and everything that goes along with it, the Chase Center being right there off the pier in San Francisco. It's a different crowd now. If you've been to the 2 buildings, you will understand that. But I'm sure there will be a decent contingent of Kings fans making the trip. As I said, Scala BCA hit a game winner last night. Not a game winner, a three-pointer to send it to overtime in the corner. And it was actually one of those freak plays where they were able to throw the ball off of the rim from the free throw line and get it out to Scal. Made the ESPN Sports Center top 10. Thought that was pretty cool. Getting some love. It's the matchup to talk about, baby. Can't wait for it. Can't wait for it. But here's the thing. How are you going to get him the minutes that you need? What's his record now? I believe we are somewhere around 12 or 13 and like 4 or 5 when Keon plays 28 or more minutes against New York. It was really interesting. Doug Christie pulled out Keon before he pulled out Zach LaVine against New York. Here's the final box score for that. I think Keon only played 20. Let's see, Keon played 28 minutes, 29. No, he only played 18. Interesting. So there you go. You need more minutes there. Absolutely need more minutes. What's up, Wolf? Sabonis needs to play. Yes, he does. Well, see, I'm more conservative. I say bring him back. Bring him back tomorrow. If you have any questions about the soreness, if you have any questions about that lingering, because that is one of those injuries that will be with you the rest of the season. Period. End of story. Here's what the Warriors have done against the Kings in 3 meetings this season. This is the stat that bothers me the most right here. They're averaging 31 assists. 31 assists per game against the Kings in the 3 games. And remember, this one's for the tiebreaker. So let's just say the Kings go on a massive hot streak against the top of the NBA, which is basically what they are playing here down the stretch. They're playing nearly every playoff team down the stretch, sometimes twice. So let's say they go on a bender and they catch up with Golden State. How many games are they behind right now? The Kings are 3 games behind Golden State in the loss column. Then the tiebreaker comes into play. You want to be able to have that. So can the Kings, because the one thing Golden State has done a good job of with Jimmy Butler is not turning the ball over as much. They used to be good for 19, 20, 21 turnovers a night, but now they're doing it less. And then also, that's my other concern, is the foul trouble tonight. This is not necessarily a great game, in my opinion, for Domas to come back in, just because of the style of play that Golden State runs and the fact that they like to cut a lot. I just think that it's a lot of starting and stopping. It's hard planting. And also, you're playing with some really physical guys. Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, we know about him. Brandon Pajemski, not going to be available. And how about Jonathan Kuminga? He gets thrown into this whole thing as well. He has not been playing. I should say he is still on track to return to the Warriors tonight. So they're going to have close to a full deck to play with. But I expect the Kings to be competitive. I just think the biggest question is, if this game is not competitive, at what point, if you're Doug Christie, do you pull the plug and get ready for Phoenix? Because the Kings schedule, which we've gone down, we can go down it one more time. It is ruthless and brutal. You've got a couple of more back-to-backs coming up. So you play tonight, you play tomorrow in Phoenix. Then you turn around. You've got Memphis on Monday. That starts, by the way, your longest homestand of the season, which is Memphis, Cleveland, Chicago, Milwaukee, Boston, Oklahoma City. Boston and OKC is a back-to-back game. And then you finish out the homestand with Portland. Then it's off to the East Coast. You'll go see Hallie one more time. What a shot by Halliburton the other night. Hell of a shot by Halliburton. A hell of a play call by Rick Carlisle to get that 4-point play. Very, very creative. And you finish out after that stretch at home. You've got Denver, the Clippers, and Phoenix. Here's the other thing, too, that I think about. I want to see, and I don't know that the Kings are going to be able to do this, but I want to see some type of continued identity from them, whether it's the physicality, whether it is the ball movement, whether it's the defense. It's funny because the defense has been getting either a ton of love or it's been getting a ton of hate, and it looks terrible. I will agree the defense did not look good against the Knicks on Monday night, but I think we can all agree that team was exhausted. They were spent. You had starters that played 44, 45, 46 minutes in LA, and that LA game was a shot to the gut. That's just one of those that sticks with you. So I kind of give them a little bit of leeway in that sense. It is what they call a quote unquote schedule game, but that's one of those games where it's like, that's a signature. If there's such a thing as a signature loss, that's one of those signature losses. That's one of those losses. If the Kings don't make it into the playoffs and they end up as the 10 seed in the play-in, we're going to look back and say, man, if you would have just got that one, you were right there. There was a couple of those last year, the 2 to Dallas late in the season, and then also the 2 to Phoenix last year late in the season as well, that did not help their chances. But to pick and pull from that, I thought the Kings defense was excellent. I thought positioning was well. So I would like to see Doug come up with at least a consistent rotation, because that really helps the guys out a lot more. That gives them an exact idea of when they're coming in, what they're doing. And here's the other thing. Are we going to see the double big lineup? It's something that we continue to ask about, speculate about. We saw it once in Denver. It worked really, really well. We saw it another time briefly, did not work as well. So will it make its way back? One guy who I love, DeMar DeRozan, he has been playing out of his mind for the most part offensively, although he continues to take the worst shot in basketball with his toe on the three-point line. He spoke to the media yesterday after practice. The Kings did get in a full practice. They did some scrimmaging, got up 5-on-5, which was good. Here's DeMar after practice.
Appointment, obviously, the Knicks. I mean, we just gotta bounce back tomorrow. Just gotta bounce back. That's all it's about. It's a tough game. Never want to lose that way. But it happened. And we gotta move on and just respond tomorrow.
I feel like the biggest lesson is in that. I know you guys don't use any excuses of 3 games in 4 nights, but
it's just one of those things happens, and it's all about how you respond from it and not let it snowball from losing a game like that. The quicker we can bounce back tomorrow, we put that last loss behind us and, continue to move forward.
The last half of the schedule looks a lot like that. A lot of back-to-backs, a lot of tough games. Just how do you make this a learning experience from the next game?
I don't think you necessarily look at it like a learning experience. You more so look at it like it's that time of the year. The reality of everything. We're at the back end of the season where every single game counts, whether if it's back-to-backs, whether it's days in between games, whatever it may be. If we got to play against the Monstars, that's just what it is. We got to play. We got to make sure we're trending in the right direction, playing the right way, no matter who we're playing against. So, like I said, it's just that point of the season now where we only got 19 games left, so everything matters.
With you guys not having that time together as a group, what's the process like for finding an identity with a new group of guys, and do you feel like you're at that point?
I mean, every day is an opportunity to figure something out. A day like today, coming in, just kind of getting that feeling from last game off you, working, being around each other. Sometimes it can take a couple laughs, just feeling good about ourselves, before we get back on that court. So it comes in all different type of ways. It could come on this bus ride up to San Francisco, or just coming together, finding whatever we need just to be the best team we need to be tomorrow.
You guys have played a lot slower post All-Star break. Do you think that's a change that benefits you guys, or are you trying to get back to it a little quicker?
Whatever way we play, whether it's fast or slow, we got to make sure we making the right reads and executing the right way, and understanding what we could take advantage of, whether if it's fast or slow. I think at times we get caught up in, whether if we're playing too fast or we're playing too slow, not making the right decisions in those moments. So just understanding what needs to be done and how to do it, whatever way we play.
When you've been looking at the Warriors, how different are they?
We looking at them now because we got to play them. But credit to them. It's Jimmy. Everybody understands Jimmy's reputation, who he is. He a winner. You add him with another group of winning guys, that's what you get. But for us, we got to figure out how we can go out there and beat them.
How do you feel?
Yeah, Flores, let me ask everybody in the chat, realistically, what do you have the Kings at for their final record this season? I think Flores is saying 5 more wins overall. That would put them at 38 wins for the season. We talked yesterday on the Kings Roundtable, and Grant was really skeptical, and so was Jerry, about the Kings getting to even 44 wins. At this point in the season, you don't want to back into the play-in. You don't want to have, 9 losses in 10 games. But Doug Christie always talks about byproduct. If we do these non-negotiables, then you get this byproduct. And this byproduct is usually winning. Another thing that's true about this team through the 3 different iterations since the Beam team is they play down to their competition, but on the flip side of the coin, they play up to their competition. Does this mean that they are going to rise to the level? And I'm not saying they're going to do it night in and night out when you've got Boston and Oklahoma City on a back-to-back, but I do think this is where Doug needs to be strategic. He needs to understand, and I think a lot of us need to really take a hard look at the standings we did just a few minutes ago and be honest. The Kings are going to be a play-in team. The 6th seed is not happening, in my opinion. So what's that mean? You gear everything towards that play-in tournament. You gear everything towards peaking at the right time. And when I'm looking at the other teams that are going to be in the play-in, most likely, the Clippers look like they're going to be floating around. I got to think it's probably going to be Phoenix. I know AD is on track to come back, but I don't know that Dallas can sustain what they've been doing for another 15, 16 games. But regardless, the Kings are going to see a couple of decent teams. Does Minnesota move out? Houston moves in? I don't know. Does Golden State move back? Who knows? There's not really any matchups there that terrify me. But I am going to be looking at the matchups that you could possibly face, and I'm going to start gearing what I do towards some of that stuff. Get guys minutes together that will probably have to play together in those games. Also, don't worry about the opponent. Just worry about what you're doing. A lot of ambiguity and a lot of subjectivity about this offense. You even heard it from DeMar. Well, I don't know if we play too fast. We play too slow. Got to make better reads. We have not had turnover in Sacramento like this in 3 years. So the team that had been together for 2.5 years was having issues with the reads. They were having issues with the cohesiveness. So I think it's a really big ask for this new unit that's just starting to learn each other. Zach LaVine's starting to look more comfortable. I think they got to focus on them and find themselves in these final games. And whatever the result is, it is. But you've got to find something. And again, I say go back to the defensive end. When the Kings played the Nuggets, they came out and they were aggressive against the Nuggets. They punched them in the face. Jake LaRavia took it to Jokic in a different way, even than Jake had ever been playing him up until that point. Kings did the same thing with the Clippers. They were excellent on defense with James Harden and Kawhi until the end. Couple of changes there. And I also think there's some things offensive or coaching wise that need to be tightened up. But what I'm saying is I think that the ceiling for this team, now I don't mean ceiling like winning a championship, but for their level of play, I think it's a little bit higher than what we're looking at. It could be higher if we see them continue in some of these areas. What you're looking at right now is the Kings season stats against the Warriors in 3 meetings. We can go down the plus minus. Who's looked good, who hasn't. No surprise there. Domantas Sabonis plus 15. DeMar 11.7. Foxy no longer here. Trey Lyles, how about that? A 10, a 10, a 10, a 10. Varsity Blues, anybody? Malik Monk. So there's your plus minuses. 3-point percentage as a team, 39%. 3-point attempts, 35%. Here's what worries me about Golden State. The Kings, third worst, in the NBA at defending the 3 ball. Well, here you go. You're walking straight into it tonight because the Golden State Warriors are 3rd in the NBA in 3-point attempts. The other area of concern, the Kings have actually been pretty good with the defensive rebounding since the All-Star break. I believe they're 4th in the NBA in defensive rebounding percentage. But how about the offensive rebounds? The Kings have not been getting there nearly as much. I would like to see them get more. And I think a lot of that, we know a lot of that has to do with Sabonis, but I want to see those crash zones reinstated. And I want to keep seeing this swag out of Keegan Murray. I'm not talking about the talking trash. I'm not talking about, go get your rook. I'm talking about the aggressiveness. Give me the ball. That's what you need. That's when this team's most dangerous, when the defense has to play everybody on the floor instead of just focusing on 2 players. So a lot going and a lot falling on this young man's shoulders. Devin Carter playing much better since coming back from his time in Stockton. The game slowed down a little bit for him offensively. You still worry a little bit about the release with the shot, but his basketball IQ, pretty good on the offensive end. Defensively, he's a guy that you throw in the mix tonight with Steph Curry. He's a guy that you throw in the mix to guard multiple positions, maybe some Gary Payton II as well, although he is not really a big offensive threat. You can force them into some turnovers. And I think that's one of the areas the Kings have lacked a little bit. They're not forcing turnovers. You want the standings? You can't handle the standings. Here's the standings. 1 second. We'll get those up for you. There we go. So here's your NBA standings as they sit. Dallas 33-34 sitting in the 10 hole. Phoenix 30-36. They are outside looking in of the play-in. The Kings 1 game behind the Clippers. The Clippers lost to the Pelicans the other night. How about that? Minnesota, who just went into Denver last night and won 38-29. Golden State 37-28. Houston, are they going to keep finding it? It's a good question there. Lakers, are they going to maintain until LeBron gets back? And Memphis, I know Ja hit a game-winning 3, but they're not playing exactly right. But they also have a deep team. And Jalen Wells, the rookie from here in Sacramento, has been paying dividends for them on the season. So Flores says 38-42. All right, fair enough. Patrick was very excited about Miles Bridges last night. Definitely got a Mike Breen bang when he hit that 3. So different watching the Knicks play on the West Coast because it's like 3 a.m. in New York. So different. Dennis, 8 games against teams above 500 or stronger. Yeah, dude, it's brutal. That's why, and to credit to the Kings, before we started the All-Star break, I said the Kings need to go 5-2 after the break. 5-2 will guarantee that you get into the play-in. Guess what? It did. It has. The Kings are there. The Kings will be in the play-in short of a complete disaster. And that's the other important thing to look at. Phoenix has the hardest schedule coming home. So does Memphis. Memphis is up there. The Lakers are up there. So not future casting, but trying to look ahead to see what this West is going to look like. A little bit is still undecided. So we will see. We'll go back to the standings for all you as we get you ready for tonight. The Kings and the Dubs. Don't forget, we have full coverage of the game tonight, beginning with the pregame show. We'll go through all the numbers at 6:15 for you and let you know about the key matchups, let you know what the keys of the game, in my opinion, are. I've already laid out a couple of those for you. So we'll get your scores too. Always like getting your final scores. Jerry joins us back at halftime. Always fun having Jerry on. You never know what he is going to say. So lucky to get him on here every single halftime on the channel. And Grant and I wrap the night up with the post-game show. Certainly, the Warriors game is a bigger post-game show. Lots of calls. If you're a first-time caller thinking about calling, pick up the phone. More times than not, it goes well. We would love to hear from you later tonight. You guys wanted that. You guys are talking with yourselves. Usually Kings versus Warriors. Yeah, we already hit that one as well. Okay, so we are all caught up in the chat. 10 and 12 wins, and we're in. I don't know. 10, yeah. You're going to have teams in the play-in that are under 500. Let's just call it what it is. Do you see the Kings getting to 500 with that schedule, which we can look at one more time? If I go down the schedule, I'll future cast it for you. I think tonight is a loss in Golden State. Well, you know what? I don't even want to say that. I think between these two games, Golden State and Phoenix, the Kings will go 1-1. Memphis at home, you got 3 days rest. I think the Kings win that game. I think they find an answer for Jalen Wells. Ja Morant's not shot the 3-ball well against the Kings. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been having some injury issues. So you know what? Give me the Kings in that one. So that's 2 wins. Cleveland, it's going to be a loss. Cleveland is an entirely different animal. If any of you have not had the opportunity to watch Cleveland play basketball this season, do it. Those guys are on a string, both offensively and defensively. One of the few teams this year that I've seen that has hardly any wasted movement whatsoever. They know their roles, they buy into them, and they all play so well together. Kenny Atkinson has done an incredible job with that team. I think the Kings lose that game. Chicago, that should be a win. That should be a win, unless Kevin Huerter. Is Kevin Huerter going to get a video when he comes back? What do you think? Kevin Huerter? Y'all are going to cheer Kevin Huerter. He's not going to get booed. You can't boo Kevin Huerter. Well, I mean, you could. I'm sure some of you would because he wasn't making a ton of shots. But Kevin Huerter, you got to give that guy some love. Kings win that game. Milwaukee, the Kings lose. Boston, the Kings lose. Boston's going to be ready to go for that one. So I'm at 3 wins right now. And we are through the Boston game. Oklahoma City, second night of a back-to-back. I got to say it's a loss. Think it's a loss. Portland, not going to be an easy game. Kings win it, though. Then you have 1 day off. Check this out. This is brutal. Listen to this. Listen to this. You go Boston at home on the 24th, Monday. Tuesday, you've got Oklahoma City the next day. Then you get a day off. And on Thursday, you've got Portland. Then you only get 1 day off. 1 day off to get all the way to the East Coast in Orlando and play Orlando. That's a terrible job by the schedule makers. I get it's harder to go east to west, but that ain't cool. That's not cool. I do not like that. That means the Kings are going to be taking off after the game against Portland that night for Orlando. They will not probably wait for the next day. I would be surprised if they waited for the next day. Could be wrong there. But so I'm going to say Orlando is a loss. Indiana, I think the Kings win. Washington, the Kings win. Charlotte, the Kings win. So I am now at 6 wins, which would put us at 39. Then you've got Cleveland. I'm going to say no. It's going to be a loss again. Detroit, I'm actually going to say yes to Detroit. Oh, it's a back-to-back. Nope. Denver, yes, because they will probably be resting guys. Clippers, man, that's going to be that Clippers game. Tell you what, that game's going to mean something. The Clippers are going to have the tiebreaker already, but that game's going to mean something. That could be a massive game. That could have a big bearing on the play-in. So I'm going to say the Kings win the Clippers game. I'm going to say the Kings beat Phoenix. So that puts me at 42 wins for the season. That puts me at 42, one game over 500. Dennis is booing Kevin. Yes, that's Red Velvet. You can't boo Red Velvet. Come on. Got to do better than that. You cannot boo Red Velvet. Speaking of doing better, Doug Christie talked to the media after practice yesterday. Here's what Doug had to say.
Getting maybe Domas back in practice, just how is he looking, and maybe how close?
I think he's going to be day to day probably as they decide. But I look good to me. I mean, it's just I'm happy to see him out here. Period. So just seeing his face, seeing him smile, get up and down the court a little bit, and shoot the basketball. Like as far as the health and when, I think that's going to be it's going to still be up in the air because those type of injuries, as somebody who has played. When it's soft tissue, sometimes you got to wake up in the morning and see how you're feeling after you stress it. So we'll see.
So great. Domas obviously fills the stat page, but where do you feel is like the biggest area you guys miss his presence most?
I mean, he's talented, man. Like he covers the stat sheet. So, he's going to give you about 20. He's going to give you about 10 and almost 10 verticality at the rim, late heads on guards because I think he moves his feet better than people think. He stretches the floor at the 5 and shoots the 3 ball. Like, you want me to keep going? It's kind of a lot. I mean, we just miss him, his presence, what he brings to the locker room. There's a lot of different things, man, that you miss. It's not just one thing. Even when it's a score, you miss a guy who scores 28 or 30. It's not just that. There's the gravity. There's personality. There's a lot of different things. Yeah.
Doug, how is your restructuring of the coaching staff who's moved up to the front, who's sort of taken on more since you've had, not only Luke leave, but yourself elevated?
I mean, I'm the head coach, so I do everything. I rely on the staff to do a lot of different stuff, but it all falls back on me. So when LB comes back, he will be on the front of the bench, but until then, Jim will be on the front of the bench.
Okay.
From a rotation standpoint, not knowing how many minutes Domas is going to have, but you tinkered with the lineup a little bit with him and Malik out. Moving forward, did you like what you saw from some of the other guys in elevated roles and rotations?
Yeah, I've always been of the mindset that injuries they're a bad thing for the individual, but for the collective team, normally they strengthen you because guys get opportunities. We learn how to play. We see different avenues. We see different solutions to problems. And by the time they come back, we're stronger as a unit. So there was a lot of good. I thought Jake jumped off the screen and did a really good job. Jonas has been spectacular. Keon continues to do Keon things. And, excuse me, even our rookie DC, he got in and he played well. I like what I saw, his aggressiveness, his defense, all that different stuff. Like, he doesn't probably get that opportunity if everyone stays healthy. So I think it makes us a better team and unit sometimes when guys get hurt, unfortunately.
And a little time that Derek Carr had in Stockton, you see any big difference in that? You just mentioned, the aggressiveness and all this.
Yeah, well, I talked to Q a little bit and just wanted him to make sure that while he's there, he focuses on running a team and guarding the best player. Like, because that's when he comes up here, he's probably going to guard the best player and he's going to need to run a team. And whatever, however Q went about it, it was fantastic because when I see him on the court, he looked better. And those are little things sometimes that you just need. It's like, what's my motivation? What am I doing? And for him, it's you make sure you get the team into something, stay aggressive because you're a rookie. They try to press up on you, go by him.
And to Devin's credit, he is going by people. He's not being shy about it. And running the team, it's so funny. When you watch Stockton, and I know a lot of you don't watch them regularly, but if you do, one thing you notice about them is the pace that they play at. It is dramatically different than what the Kings play at. In fact, it is at the start of the basketball year, at the season, it's what the Kings wanted to play at. If the ball's being inbounded, it's go. If they make a shot, go. You're just up and down. Mace does a great job of that in Stockton. It's actually quite impressive to sit there and watch those guys go that hard up and down the court every possession. Dev's not going to be able to always do that here, but I do think that helps this team. And as for Laravia and breaking up some minutes, Doug has gone into his bag where he's letting guys play like Laravia. He played overtime and the entire fourth quarter against the Clippers. I want to see some of that broken up a little bit. That's just me. I know you have players out, but break it up a little bit because you're not going to keep your guys necessarily fresh. You've got to keep a little bit of pop in their legs. It's a different type of ask. It's a different type of ask when you've played to guard James Harden, when you're going on your 16th and 17th minute in a row in clutch time too. That entire quarter and that overtime period, obviously clutch time. All right, let's go to the phone. Oh, heck yes. I love talking to this guy. I haven't heard from him in a while. We're going to get our Rockets update too. Let's bring in Mr. Moss to the conversation. Mr. Moss, what's going on today, buddy? You're muted.
There we go. There we go. Sorry about that, man.
All good, brother. What's
How
going
you
on?
doing?
Good. Good to see you.
You too, man. Same thing. It's been a while. Quick on the Rockets. I mean, they're trying to keep their head above waters. I mean, 41-25, currently in the 5th seed. I think they're going to be locked in between that 4th and 5th seed. The Lakers are kind of falling, right? They got a tough game tonight,
Yep.
So I could see Houston possibly getting the number 4. And the Nuggets, right? I mean, they have 24 losses. So, oh, wow. The Grizzlies, 24 losses. So my fault. The Rockets can go on a bit of a little win streak here. They can sneak into that number 2 seed. But I'm not sure the number 2 seed is the right fit for my team. I'm okay with being 4 or 5. I want the Lakers, right? Because it's right this time of the season.
You do want the Lakers.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, LeBron doesn't scare me. I mean, the guy lost 6 finals, for crying out loud.
All right.
So we're just staying afloat, man. Obviously, Amin Thompson is out with the ankle. So that's a tough one. But I want to get your thoughts, man. I mean, the Kings' schedule is brutal, right? And
Yes.
so it comes down to this time of the season, just wins, right? I don't care how you get them, just get wins. They're currently in that 9th seed. They're a few games up from the 10th seed from Dallas. Are you comfortable with their fourth quarter execution and the way they finish games up? Like, do you feel like they know where they're going? Like, do you feel like they know where to butter their bread in the fourth when it's time?
Nope. I don't feel like they have, at least since Domas has been out. No.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, it's a tough one. I agree with you 1,000%. As great and as good as DeMar and Zach can be at times, I think they're looking at each other. I think Zach is just a tough shot taker, and he's going to make some of those shots. But I want to see a little bit more ball movement, a little bit more action. And like you said, it's tough when Sabonis isn't there to generate or operate. I wouldn't now. Am I wrong if I says I wouldn't mind the ball being in Malik's hands in those situations more, letting DeMar and Zach play off the ball compared to on the ball.
Right.
Is that fair?
I think it's completely fair. And Malik had been out, so we have to figure that into it as
Yeah.
well. But I talked about it earlier in the show. The pick and roll, I think, is so important for this team. But Malik has been doing that snake action way too much off the pick and roll, and he's giving up the advantage he's getting off that screen. I know he's trying to draw a foul by having a defender come up his back, but the refs aren't really calling fouls right now, especially not those ones.
No, they're not. And when you say that little snake play, I mean, take what's there, right? Don't be greedy, Malik.
Exactly.
I mean, and listen, I know you're confident. I know you can get a shot off more times than not, but every shot's not a good shot, especially in that type of offense. Um, Keegan Murray's been impressive with his defense. I can't lie. The kid's been competing on defense. He hasn't had the best shooting season per se. He's at stretches, Rhino.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that because you can impact games more than just shooting. Like I hate that we judge players by makes and misses, right? And that's not everything basketball is for me. Let me close on this note. Let's say the Kings do get in, or whatever the case may be. They're 7 or 8 seed. I mean, what matchup? Obviously, if they're the 8 seed, they're playing OKC. That's a shoo-in. But let's say they're the second. Let's say they're the 7 seed, right? Who do you want in that number 2 seed that you feel comfortable enough? And you say, yeah, the Kings aren't favored, but they can pull that off.
Probably Memphis.
Great answer. I agree. I think offensively they just can't keep up, and defensively I think the Kings have some matchups that they can go to late in the fourth, and I feel like they can blitz and trap Ja, get the ball off his hands, and we're going to force Baines and these guys to beat you, which I don't trust that. So I agree with you, man. Good answer. Listen, like I said last time, Rhino, it's that time of the year. It's go time.
It's go time.
We're going to see what guys like Zach and DeMar and Sabonis are made of. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can come in and talk big game all you want to, Zach and DeMar, but you have to deliver, right?
Yep.
The Kings are up against it, and those early season losses are paying dividends now. And so, imagine if they had 2 or 3 or 4 more wins underneath their belt compared to now. They would be in a position to where they're 6 or 7 seed,
Man, we could do that every season.
I know.
I
I know we
just
can.
did it. I just did it like 20 minutes ago saying, well, if you don't lose those 2 to Dallas and then have Phoenix come back on you twice. Yeah. But in this year, in this West, what was different about this, though, was teams lost guys, like a lot of injuries, but they still stayed pretty damn competitive and found a way to win for the most part. And that goes for the Kings as well. When Fox was out, they were 3-0.
And just real quick, if you don't mind, the one team that
Yeah.
stands out with what you just said is a team that won last night in Boston. That
Yes.
OKC team.
Great
oh my
point.
God. Listen.
Dude.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Why does it feel like we're not going to see OKC and Cleveland in the finals, although everything points to that?
I hear you on the Cleveland part. 'Cause I think Cleveland's a better team than Boston. I just do. I mean, oh my God. Like
team is the key. Team is the key.
Yes. Better team. More upside is Boston. But I think Boston can squeak through. But I'm picking the Cavaliers to win that series if they get there. But I feel confident saying that I got OKC come out the West. The way they defend, the way they're coached, their superstar. Here's my one pushback right now, and then I'm out of here.
Yeah.
If I trap and blitz SGA, and we're forced to see J-Dub, and he's out for some time, I heard, or a hip injury or something like that, maybe a few games. If I blitz SGA and say, Chet and J-Dub, you beat me today in a postseason series, and I try to take SGA out the series, which teams can do, that's my only concern. Do I trust those guys? And so there's pause to cause there. I get it. There's cause to pause there. I get it. But as of right now, I'm going to OKC.
Yeah, I mean, but look at I think it's a valid point. But then you look at like Lou Dort, and you look at all these other guys that are shooting the leather off the ball.
Yeah, they're making
from beyond the arc, and that's the wild card. Can you make them when they count? Because you're right. That's what the game plan is going to be. Blitz SGA. So.
Yeah. So, hey, man, always great conversation, man. Tough one tonight, Golden State. So we'll see, man. Enjoy the game, man, and we'll talk soon, buddy.
You too, dude. Tell the dogs hi.
Sure will.
All right, peace, Mr. Moss, killing it as always. Give us back your. What was the deal I made with you, PK? What was it? If the Kings made it to the Western Conference Finals, I would get the you know what jersey that you're asking for. Yeah, that is Domas and Chewbacca put together. Which one's which? I'll let you guess. We're gonna go to the phones back here in a second. Guero, you know my uncle. I know your uncle. We used to hoop together at elementary school. Which uncle do you know? Which uncle is it? Is it cousin or uncle? You might have cousin mixed in with uncle there. Maybe not. Maybe not. Fair enough. Who is it? Is it Steven? I bet you it's Steven. It's got to be Steven. PK still in Mexico. I wanted to get to this question really quick. Have I caught the Gurus after show? Yes, I did catch the Gurus after show. In fact, I caught the replay of the first one. And I thought I was watching Austin Powers. Did you see the chest hair coming off of the Guru? And it wasn't even like a V-neck. It wasn't a reverse V-neck where the V's all the way down here. He just had a regular shirt on, but the line came like right here. And it was just Austin Powers jumping out everywhere. I couldn't focus on what he was saying. It's like his chest hairs were talking. So no, he's doing a good job. But I told him, man, embrace those things when they happen. It was pretty funny, man. Go look back at the first episode. His chest hair was popping, to say the least, man. Hairy like animal. Dennis, what's up, dude?
Yo, Ryan, what's going down?
Nothing much, brother. What's going on with you?
Yeah, so like my question was obviously how many games do we need to get to that play-in threshold? Obviously, we want to be in the playoffs, but we have to start winning games. We're on a 2-game losing streak going into the Warriors. We lost 2 brutal games back to back. I mean, one was, I don't know which one was worse. I mean, for me, it's probably the Clipper game.
It's the Clipper game,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, it is because we had that lead and we lost it, and we got into those droughts, like we talked about. My thing is just try to get to that 9-10 game as soon as you can, and then reassess things when you get to that point. The thing is, though, it's like how fast can we get to those wins? Because I feel like if we get to those wins here, we do like a 3-game win, lose 1, 3-game win, lose 1, something like that, to where we get these guys, like you said, in a more better, comfortable rotation where everybody knows their job, everybody knows their assignment. But then, like, I don't mind somebody like coming sporadically off the bench and saying, "Hey, look, I like to have a game for you guys too once in a while," And I feel like the droughts on the bench sometimes, because it's like I don't know. For me, it feels like if your bench is not scoring 20 plus a night in the NBA, you're not really doing anything for me.
See, I hear you there, Dennis.
That's my feeling.
Dennis, I hear you there, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I think, and this goes for Keon Ellis too. I said it on a post game show. We're looking at Keon the wrong way. We're looking at the bench the wrong way. This bench comes in and they clean up the defensive mess that happens when the starters begin the game. That's what usually happens. The run comes near the end of the first quarter and into the start of the second, about midway through the second. And it's not overly offensive, it's more defensive. So you had Malik Monk for the last 2 years that come off the bench and be that offensive spark. Now you've got a defensive bench, and the way that they score is sharing the ball, creating turnovers, and scoring off of them. So I don't think this is ever going to be a bench that scores a ton of points.
That's it. But you can also, like you said, create points off defense. Like when we have Isaac Jones in there, Devin Carter's getting more minutes now, and obviously Jake's in there now. It's like we're still trying to get our chemistry and rhythm going. But man, when those guys are in there, you could tell the difference in defense, though, for sure. It's Jones, I like his inside presence in there. Jake, man, that guy, he's just all a hustler. Keon, I mean, you don't even have to mention his name, but yeah, so it's like we got 4 bench guys I feel like we can go to right away, every time. But then I feel like there's like just like trying to fit them all in, trying to get the most impact you can out of every individual player.
Yeah, no, I feel you. The Kings are gonna make their money if the Kings make a run in the play-in and into the playoffs. It's gonna be built around defense. It's not gonna be built around offense. It's just what it's going to be because you have too many of those gritty guys that you're talking about. Keegan Murray, grit dude. Did anybody else notice that he was denying the point guard on the inbound pass down like 17 points? Full court, he gets the steal and finishes. Like, that's just ingrained in people. Keon, it's the same thing. Like you said, Jake, the same thing. JV is freaking tough, man. People do not want to take it in the rim against him. And so that's why I say the formula is going to be more like what we saw against the Clippers. That's where you save your Levines, you save your DeMar moments, the big shots, the guys that can hit them in the clutch. You just got to make sure those shots goes down. This isn't a team that's going to come out and score 140 points every night. Not going to happen.
No, 100%. And I agree with you on that. Like defense, JB, like he's great, but then like the Warriors can expose his greatness because they don't have to go down low against him. They can hang around the 3-point line where he's like most efficient at. Sometimes I feel like Sabonis is too, where I'm thinking now you can blend in like Isaac Jones who can handle that a little bit better, maybe move his feet a little bit better. And other players, if Trey Lyles is out, obviously Drake. So it's like we have to use our strengths to our strengths and not let the opposition take advantage of our strengths. Like, yeah, Jonas is a monster down low in the paint. Like nobody wants to go against him. Well, that means they just want to spread the floor now and draw him outside. Same thing they always did with Sabonis too. So it's like we have good initial defense, but we have to utilize that and make sure our unit on the floor is always protecting those guys in those senses too, where we're not leaving them out to dry to run all the way out to the 3-point line and guard somebody. You know what I mean? That was my main issue because they did it to Sabonis and now they're doing it to Jonas too.
Yep, for sure. And part of the solution to that is what a lot of people, Jerry just said it yesterday, Sabonis and Valanciunas on the floor together. So we'll see. Dennis, appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right. Good call. Really good stuff. Talking about strengths. That's great. Knowing your strengths, it's a must. You also have to know your weaknesses. I'm sure one of you 453 that have tuned in at some point today through X or YouTube have read Strength Finders. Strength Finders is all about identifying your weaknesses. So then you know where you need help. The Kings' biggest weakness right now is predictability. They are so predictable. It's not a coincidence that Doug's being peppered with questions about the offense being structured, questions about too much ISO, questions about the Kings being third worst in pace since the All-Star break. It's not a coincidence, and it's because they are predictable. When the Kings are not predictable and structure gets mixed in there, where you can clearly see that a play has been drawn up or a couple of plays have been drawn up to start the game or coming out of a timeout. In fact, you want to talk about a weakness. The Kings, more times than not, are discombobulated coming out of a timeout. That should rarely happen. Like a shot clock violation out of a timeout, that is a big no-no. And it happens. It happened last game. So you have got to find some balance in the middle there because we're not talking about like high school basketball structure where you're moving around like robots. We're talking about some simple things here. Just some simple little things that keep keeps the defense guessing. It keeps them on their toes. It also, this is the biggest thing, it puts pressure. It puts pressure on them, which gets them into foul trouble, which changes the way that they have to defend. So it's those things like that. So, and we've got a hell of a stretch of basketball coming up. In fact, you are going to see teams that do some of this stuff at a very high level. Like, it's going to jump off the page to you. Not saying that the Kings don't do things at a high level, but you have the class of the NBA on your schedule coming home. And again, game 65 tonight against the Warriors. PK, you made it. You still in Mexico?
No, I'm home, buddy.
Okay. Good stuff, dude.
How are you doing, bad boy?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I think Kings owe us a good game. I'm not saying win. I'm just saying they owe us a good game to watch after the mess that we've been watching for a good minute now. But Doug Christie said that they're going to simplify this team and stuff like that. And boy, they made it simple. Boy, they made it simple. I mean, dude, we are simple. I think that little take that you had about the offense. I mean, we look simple and stupid at the same time. I don't know. What do you think is Doug's situation right now with Kings in general?
What do you mean? Like where he stands is
Yeah. We're
head
like,
coach?
it's like we're talking about players and stuff, but it's like as the season winds down and stuff like that. Where do you think Doug's situation with Kings as a coach stands? Do you think he has a chance to even be a coach at the end of the season? Do you think he's fighting for a coaching job for Kings next season? That kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, we have to assume that Doug wants to be a head coach of a basketball team, wants to
Simple
be the head
coach.
coach of this basketball team.
Simple coach.
Look, I think Doug has done a fine job. I think that Doug has, his record shows it. He made the right adjustments to right the ship. You know, you just use the word simple. He basically took away everything that was the minutia that a lot of guys were not vibing with, did not like. And so just that alone makes a big difference. In terms of his future here, I don't know, man. I don't. I think that we can't even look at whether he's going to be here or not based off of what we heard from Sam Amick in his article, and Domas maybe looking at reevaluating, wanting some answers about structure within the organization. And is Monty still going to be here? Like, it's just, I think Doug set himself up to be in the conversation. There's no doubt about that. But is that the direction that the Kings fans want too? That's a question that's not been asked. Does everybody want Doug back as head coach? Not that what you want is going to ultimately happen, but certainly the fan base and what they like and don't like has some sway. I mean, look at what happened with good old Royale. Dude got his butt shipped to what was it, Kansas City? So
yeah, true. But it's it's like there's going to be a lot of coaching options for the Kings. I think I think Kings got the roster together, got it too late. They should have done these things probably preseason to fill the roster, get rid of Len. JV was available probably for since he signed with Wizards. I think they did. They moved things around way too late, and I just don't know. I just don't know if there's options how you can have Doug Christie coaching a team that does not win, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm gonna let you go and thank you, Ryan.
all right, appreciate you, PK. Good stuff. Well, they are winning. Doug's record, I don't have it off the top of my head, but he's at least 7 or 8 games over 500. I mean, this was kind of a reset that none of us thought were going to happen. Y'all remember Matt George's open to his show the day that Mike Brown got fired? Welcome back to basketball hell, Kings fans, something along those lines. Because it felt like that's where it was headed, and now you're going to have a shot to get into the playoffs. So I don't want to play it's the exact same card as it's hard to get mad at Vivek because we wouldn't have anything to get mad at if it wasn't for Vivek. True, but the fact is you have Vivek. You have a basketball team, so you have every right to push back. And the same thing is true here about, well, we should have been just blown it up and we shouldn't even be near the play-in. So whatever happens, happens. No, make the most out of it. These guys are working their tails off. They're trying to get acquainted with each other. And Levine looks more comfortable every single game, which is good. Now, the IQ stuff, and that's, I can't tell you, and Malik Monk makes a big difference. There's no doubt about that, but it takes away from Malik Monk's game as well. But when Malik is healthy and available, his ability to initiate the offense is big. It's huge. And he's not even a true point guard. But that is one of the biggest deficiencies. It's when Doug talks about these 8 seconds that the shot clock is broken into, these 3 different segments. Like you could almost break it into 2 segments, which is 12 seconds trying to get into it, and then 12 basically doing whatever you decided to do, because it's by committee. You have all these different guys that aren't point guards trying to initiate the offense, and none of them are doing it from the same spots. They're not getting to the same spots because they're all different ball handlers. Ball handling, just as a team, is not up to par for this team, which is really actually kind of funny because if you look at how this team's star power is built out, a lot of it, with the exception of Zach LaVine, is built out and begins with fundamentals. That's why Domantas Sabonis is so successful, because his fundamentals are so good. Same thing with DeMar DeRozan. So it's just those little things that could have made a big difference. Like you're talking about the beginning of the season, go get a true point guard. You needed one since the Beam team. All right, breaking news.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
It's actually not horrifying. It's something that if you have been with the channel, you know about. Tomorrow's show, since it's Royal Rumble Friday, and yes, we will be recapping tonight's game. We'll also get you ready for the Phoenix game. We will debut the March Sports Movie Madness brackets. Y'all have submitted a lot of different sports movies. We have a 32 movie tournament. We will debate the brackets in the seedings tomorrow. We will have public opinion time where you can come in and state your case on why a movie should be ranked higher than another, why a movie shouldn't be on there and a different one should. You will have your chance to do that. But the brackets debut tomorrow. What we're going to do throughout the month, we're going to do Twitter polls. I might even be able to put a poll up here. That's what I'm working on. And we are going to vote this thing down to figure out what is the best sports movie. Best sports movies. I'm going to say generations because we're not all from the same generation. So that will debut on tomorrow. The brackets will be out. Also, would you be interested in doing a tournament challenge for the channel? I think it would be fun. We can put something together fairly quick. I'm sure we can get a couple of prizes together Would you want to participate in a tournament challenge, the NCAA tournament? Definitely a fun time of year, although most of us are very clearly focused on the Kings and what is next for them. Immediately up next, the Golden State Warriors tonight from the Chase Center. I know Mars said he's going. Anybody else going to be going to the game? If you are, I hope you have a great time. Have a safe trip out there. It's such a different crowd at the Chase Center. If you're expecting anything like Oracle, forget about it. It ain't that crowd. It's different. Like Oracle, it's like PBR on draft. At the Chase Center, it's like Kendall Jackson, Chardonnay on draft. It's just weird. Got to pay for it somehow, right? But the Kings are not favored in this one. In fact, the Warriors are favored by 6.5. Let me update that and see if that has changed at all. Nope. 6.5 is the line tonight for the Kings and the Warriors. Remember, Jake LaRavia off the injury report. So my guess is your first rotation is going to be Keon Ellis right around the 750 mark. That'll probably be if I was Doug. I'm not going to say if Doug was smart. If I was Coach Christie, I would be bringing in Keon for Levine. He might do it for Monk. I want Keon and Monk out there for defensive purposes. But you're going to see Keon first off the bench. Then you will probably see LaRavia and maybe Devin Carter. Maybe LaRavia, Devin, Valanciunas. And does he go Trey? Does he go Isaac? Isaac had some decent minutes. I'll give that to him. So we'll see how much trust he puts into them. But I'm going to guess that's your rotation. That's assuming that Domantas Sabonis is starting the game. He's a game time decision. He practiced yesterday. No word as yet that I have seen that changes his status. Big note for the Warriors, though. Jonathan Kuminga was tracking to return to the team tonight. That is very important for them. Now, he's been out for a while, so we'll see how he plays, but he's the added wild card. He was the guy that the Warriors were grooming to possibly be that next guy. He is the guy that was quote unquote untouchable when the Warriors were looking to make moves and acquire somebody to go along with Steph Curry. And then the Jimmy Butler problem. The Kings, they have to play without fouling tonight, but yet they've got to play physical. They've got to be the more physical team. So you have to quote my partner on this channel. You have a dandy of a matchup between Keon and Steph Curry. It is one of the most fun. It is the most entertaining. It is the most interesting. It is. It teaches you the most. You learn so much from watching those two go against each other. It is an incredible matchup. There will be times where you say Keon is beat, and you're like, "How the hell did Steph get him to bite for that?" And then all of a sudden, Keon will get himself back in the play. It happened a couple of times last time at G1C. Incredible. So have fun watching that matchup. That's going to be a lot of basketball enjoyment and basketball crack for us hoop heads. So Keon's got to get over 30 too. Got to get over 30 minutes tonight in this one. Get the minutes up. So, hey, don't forget, we are back all day today. We'll be back at 6:15 pregame show, getting you ready. It is, by the way, national television game, TNT. The Kings are slated to have one more TNT game against Oklahoma City on the homestand, but for whatever reason it got flexed out, this could theoretically be the last time they're on TNT with the crew. So we'll see. Enjoy it. Always a joy to watch those guys do their thing as well. But we are back 6:15 pregame, talking Kings, talking Warriors, getting into the numbers, giving you keys to the games, looking at some screenshots, looking at what we think that the Kings are going to try to do, and conversely, how the Warriors may try to defend it. The zone defense, that's going to be important tonight as well, too. Jerry Reynolds always talks about the zone defense. And then halftime, Jerry will actually be with us. Come join us on the channel. We'd love to have you. And we'll break down the first half and get your final scores. We'll give you our final scores for this one tonight. And here's that other dynamic, the other dynamic that I was talking about at the beginning of the show. If this thing's out of hand, like midway through the third quarter, and I would imagine a lot of you would not like this. In fact, I know, like thinking of people like Progressive, Athena, they would not like this because in today's NBA, you can kind of get back into any game if you shoot the three ball well. What does Doug do if this game's out of hand? He can't do what he did against the Knicks because you play Phoenix on Friday, tomorrow. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic that may came up at halftime. And then post game, we will be here taking your calls, recapping the night, hopefully talking about a Kings victory. This would be a signature win. This would be a signature moment of the season. If you got the tiebreaker over the Warriors, absolutely. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we've got it all for you coming up right here on the channel. Looking forward to being back with you at 6:15 tonight, Kings Warriors. Go Kings, light the damn beam. We are out of here on a Thursday. Can't wait to see you back here in about 3 hours. So long. Court is dismissed.
Feel good about yourself, Ryan. You're just a part of the King's court.